Well, good morning, everyone. I have my breakfast right here, and you might have noticed when I was making it that it's a little bit more simple than my usual smoothies. This is just frozen bananas, frozen berries, water, and a little bit of flax seeds. And I have made this so simple because I am freaking out right now. So I know that we are in the middle of the anti-nutrient series, and it was certainly my intention to continue it this week, but I have ended up having a very bizarre week. Did not go like I saw it going. I made a really big life and financial decision, and I made it kind of impulsively, though, I was wise and well informed about it, but it was still a fast move, and I'm so happy about it. But of course, because I'm so happy about it and it was a little bit impulsive, I'm like hardcore suffering from some foreboding joy right now. I feel like because I'm so happy and excited, the world is going to crash down around me and everything is going to fall apart, and just waiting for the other shoe to drop, basically. This instance, it just swooped in and totally knocked me off guard, and so I'm having like a serious physiological stress response. I feel like my body is being pickled by cortisol and adrenaline right now, and it is really messing with my hunger. Like, my digestion is so not good right now. I am not hungry. The thought of eating kind of makes me feel ill, but my stomach is like super empty and I can feel it, and I kind of want to eat, but every time I eat I end up getting nauseated, and then the food doesn't move in my stomach. It just like sits there like a brick. And so my go-to response is to, listen to my body, because I don't want to eat, even though my stomach feels hungry and I'm kind of like shaky from all the stress and low blood sugar and such. But just the thought of eating is not appealing right now. And at the same time, I am noticing these old, out of practice thoughts from my eating disorder coming up, and they're saying, oh my gosh, you don't want to eat? Well, then don't eat, and see how long you can go without eating so that we can be skinny. Won't it feel so good when you get on the scale after you've been really stressed out for a few days and you don't want to eat, and you will have like lost a bunch of weight, and you'll feel super skinny. It'll be great. Just stop eating. And so even though I haven't participated in, like eating disorder behaviors in 6 or 7 years at least, those thoughts still come up, they still accompany me, and I feel like it's important for me to still be aware of them. So my reflex when it comes to those eating disorder thoughts is to make sure I am eating. That is how I got out of my eating disorder, was by not force feeding myself, but definitely keeping a fairly strict meal schedule and making sure that I was eating enough calories. Fortunately, my body was so hungry after so many years of trying to starve it that I didn't really struggle with having a low appetite, but at times when I do have a low appetite like this, and I notice those eating disorder like thoughts come up, it can be hard to know what the right thing to do is in this situation. And fortunately, after doing so much work over the last decade or so on my beliefs about taking care of myself and my appearance and my worth and all that jazz, I know that if I move from integrity and if I make choices that are in deep alignment with my values, and if I purposely fulfill the promises that I've made to myself, I feel more comfortable honoring my lower appetite. Things like I value nourishing myself and making sure that I'm getting all of the nutrients and fuel that I need to really thrive on a compassionate diet. That it means a lot to me to be able to eat and live the way that I do. And then the promises that I've made to myself are things like, I promise to take care of you and make sure that you're well fed so that you can be fully functional and happy and vibrant. And so if I can trust my actions to align with my values, if I can be in integrity, I know that I will take good care of myself while I'm stressed out, and I know that I will make the right choice about my food intake. If I have that kind of trust in myself, then I can trust myself to listen to my body's food cues. Now, to be clear, there have been times in my life where I have not been able to trust myself because my eating disorder and those insidious ideas and thoughts and suggestions that it makes were just too strong, and I was too much in the habit of purposely restricting myself so that I could be small and tiny and skinny. And so earlier in my recovery, I couldn't necessarily trust that I would respond to my food cues in a nourishing way. It was much more likely that I would ignore or dismiss or deny them. There were also times in which I really struggled to interpret my hunger cues because I had ignored and dismissed them for so long. I didn't really know what actual hunger felt like. I didn't know what fullness felt like. I just didn't know how to feel or respond to those things, and that took time and a lot of practice. So earlier in my recovery, there were a lot of times where I did keep myself on more of a structured eating pattern, even when I didn't really feel like eating. I would not force myself to eat, but definitely encourage myself to eat nutritious, appealing food. And then over time, I was able to learn how to interpret those cues, and I was able to build trust with myself that I would, because I really valued myself and my well-being, that I would respond to those cues by nourishing myself and providing the amount of food and fuel that I needed to function. Also, at this point in my recovery and my life, I've been through these kind of stressful situations enough times that I know that my appetite will go away for a few days, but then it will return, and it will return with a vengeance. I can guarantee you that in 2 or 3 days, I am going to have a voracious appetite, and I'm going to want to hoover in as much food as possible. And at this point in my recovery, I also trust that I'm going to listen to that hunger, and I'm going to let myself eat. So I have to say I'm kind of looking forward to that moment, but it's not here yet. And again, at this point in my recovery, I know that I can trust my hunger cues because I have demonstrated consistently over the last several years, months, and weeks that I listen to my body and I respond to my body. So psychologically, I can trust myself to make a good choice at this time. And so given that I've been really consistent with myself over the last several years and I've built this trust, I feel more comfortable honoring my lower appetite for the few days that I have it, even though this is also overlapping with some of those disordered eating thoughts. I'm also being really clear that I don't have to be a passive participant in this stress response. So I am being really mindful of what's going on and the sensations that I'm feeling and the thoughts that are going through my mind and the ways that I'm freaking out. And I'm using those as the starting point for the DNRS type protocol that I've started doing since the new year. You might have seen a couple of the videos about it. If not, they'll be linked down below. And I'm using that protocol to really help calm down the physiological and psychological stress response that's going on in my body. So I'm pausing, acknowledging the thoughts, and then purposefully choosing to counter those thoughts and purposefully choosing to shift my focus. And every time I do that, every time I counter a negative thought that's going through my head and I shift my focus to something more positive, like the way that I would prefer to feel, or some kind of pre-planned counter statement, the more often that I do that, the better my neurons get at firing in a way that inhibits the freak out feelings and thoughts and emotions. And so even though I'm feeling really stressed, I'm very grateful that it is not sending me to bed to hide in the covers where I can't function. I'm being super proactive about doing everything that I can to shift the psychological processes and influence the physiological process so that I can successfully move through this anxiety and this stress, and so that I can successfully kind of break up these really toxic, icky, useless beliefs that I have about good things and whether or not I deserve good things. All right, so I suppose I'm gonna go ahead and wrap up this little talk. I hope it made sense. My intention that this makes sense. Feel free to like ask questions or seek clarification in the comment section below. And I am intending to be back next week to continue on the anti-nutrient series, which looks like it could just possibly take all summer. And I will see you guys the next time I eat food. I guess I will go ahead and finish this. I'm starting to feel a little better after I unloaded on you guys. Okay, I am back from my appointments and I am actually feeling really hungry, so we're gonna see how this goes. I would call this a small serving of gluten-free vegan marinara pasta with sauteed kale, carrots, and onions. But I guess normal people would call this a giant serving. I'm gonna start munching on this and just see how my stomach feels, because like I said, I have been feeling hungry, but once I start eating, it kind of just turns into a brick. And it's like 1 or 2 hours before dinner, so this might spoil my dinner. I don't know, we'll have to see. That was a much needed push of the reset button. After getting a really good night's sleep last night and getting up this morning and going to the beach with my step babies, I feel, I won't say 100% better, but I'm like 85% back on my feet. I feel like the stress hormones moved through me, and y'all, the appetite has returned, so I'm gonna go work on dinner and I will share it with you guys because I can't do a what I eat in a day video that doesn't have 3 square meals in it. So I guess it'll be what I ate in 2 days, or a partial inclusion of things that I ate over the span of 2 days. I will see if I can fit that in the title. It is dinner time and my glorious appetite has returned. Check out this beautiful bowl of goodness. Big green salad, lettuce and cabbage based with fresh veggies and a dressing of tahini, sweet chili sauce, and a little splash of apple cider vinegar, some fresh broccoli sprouts, some sweet potato, a white potato, and my all-time favorite, black beans with Tex-Mex spiced brown rice. It's going to be so good to eat this, so I am not going to delay. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please be quiet, Petunia. And as always, make better choices for yourself. No one will do it for you, and take really, really good care of your sweet selves. I'll see you guys shortly. Bye. Vote down below in the comments section if you want a 45-minute video of Almond just licking stuff off my counter.